Rowan.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm good. What's shaking, my brother?
Oh, listen, I knew there was going to come a day doing this that I would fanboy out. Well, that's today.
Oh, nice.
Mate, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Was it Friday morning where you are, I guess, huh?
It is indeed, yeah, but not too early, so we're all good. And I've got knuckleheads standing by with defibrillators, so they can help me out if I happen to pass
out. Very nice.
Mate, Got Your Six. Wow, this album is your ferocious best and finest musical skill compounded into one recording. Congratulations.
Thank you. Have you heard it?
Yes.
You've heard the record. It's amazing. I'm still naive as far as or accepting the fact that the copies are floating around, with evil. Because we're so delicate about trying to avoid having it leaked to the public. But I'm glad you heard it. You like it, you say?
Absolutely. Look, it was sent to us. We formally reviewed the album, and of course we absolutely keep things quiet once we've heard it. But we've got people knocking down our doors trying to get hold of it, I can assure you.
Nice. Hey, is there somewhere that I can see the review, or is it like a print thing, or what is it?
Yeah, no, it's on silvertigermedia.com.au. Now,
send me the link, and then I can repost it through my socials.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Thank you, Jason. That'd be a privilege.
Provided that it's a good review.
Well, hopefully. I mean, I've got some interesting observations there, but I can't say enough about the album. It's brilliant. Your previous works were so difficult to better, but was there a conscious determination within the group to produce bigger and better than ever before?
That's a tough question because it's music, so it's not like, how do you judge it as far as, trying to top something? How do you make something better when it's really just opinion,
Of course.
I think what I can tell you that we control, certainly working with Kevin means that we have a finer tuned machine there. If you were bouncing back and forth between this producer, that producer, new producer, old producer, all we do is just try to do what's natural for us. And I think what helps us land at a certain quality is keeping the team intact. In other words, it's like a Formula One car. If you get the same pit crew for 10 years, they're really in tune with how to do the job, and that's one of the things that we can count on, is that our relationship with Kevin is so refined that we can really get to the good stuff, and there's not a lot of time wasted trying to learn new personalities or anything like that,
Sure.
or new work methods, or, we can get right to the chase. And so that's helpful as far as staying focused on what's important, and that's the quality of the songs,
Yeah, wonderful observation. And, of course, the early release of Jekyll and Hyde was a big success. But was the concept bizarre to you initially?
Yeah. We were kind of interested in that song because it was different and slightly quirky. I don't know if you know the story behind that, but that's a voicemail that Ivan left me in the middle of the night.
Yes.
It's he has this when we're in album making mode. He doesn't have any electronic devices at home to capture ideas. So I said, instead of losing your ideas, call my machine and leave them on my voicemail.
Yeah.
And that way, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have song ideas to work on.
Yeah, and it turned into a killer track.
Well, thanks. I know it's a
Pleasure
little different for us, but there's a lot. You've heard the record, so there's a lot of stuff on there that I think could be potential singles. So we just kind of like that one and decided let's roll with it.
Indeed. And, of course, your magnificent fundraising work with Five Finger Death Punch for Vets was a huge success. Killer shirts, too, by the way. I've got 5.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Between this, travelling to play for troops in war zones and some song content, you have an affinity with the armed forces. Where does that come from?
Well, it started back in 2010 when it was our first trip to Europe. We were playing small clubs, and we had a bunch of shows in Germany, and every time we were playing this place, somebody would come back to the dressing room and go, there's a bunch of guys here from the U.S. military that would like to come back and say hello. And then, we'd meet these guys every night, and they would, most of them would be like, we had 2 days off, and we flew here from Cologne, or we wouldn't miss this. We all got together, and we came down. We had to be here, blah, blah, blah. What we started to figure out was that there was a general like for our band in with the troops over there at that period of time. So we just kind of went out of our way, recognizing that we were making them feel good, or that they liked the music, and it was something that they were leaning on for inspiration.
Yeah.
We decided to go out of our way and try to do as much volunteer work as possible, and we've never really looked back, and the more we do, the more we realize that we can help and support and bring awareness to help, and so that's kind of what we've made our mission,
Oh, and you carry on that tradition now with Got Your Six, which I've no doubt will become an anthem for battle readiness and camaraderie amongst troops. Was that the intent at all?
I think, yes, it has. I mean, it's kind of our secret nod to those guys, because Got Your Six really means got your back.
Yeah. Yep.
Which
absolutely
is kind of the message that we intended, specifically for those guys. And it's also our 6th record, so we figured it couldn't be any more perfect for a title.
Of course, indeed. But look, perhaps it's just me, but Boots and Blood profoundly hit me. To me, it describes so well some of the emotions that many with post-traumatic stress disorder experience. Was that a subject of that track at all?
I would have to say unlikely. We certainly did. We brought a lot of awareness to the PTSD issue with the Wrong Side of Heaven track.
Yeah.
And I think with Boots and Blood, it's an Ivan Moody lyric, so I'd have to just comment based on what I assume he's speaking about is snapping on somebody to the point where words are no longer effective, and you resort to physical violence in the form of smashing someone's head in with your foot. How's that?
Yeah. That's wonderful. And, of course, you personally joined FFDP in 2009 after being very successful in your own right. And really things took off from there with War as the answer. I don't know whether that's right. I think it's maybe Jason Hook was the answer.
Oh, yeah. See, I love this. This is a great interview. I feel very lucky and very fortunate because Five Finger Death Punch, my best friend had started the group with Zoltan. Jeremy and I have been friends since the mid-'90s. Jeremy, of course, being our drummer.
Sure.
And
yes.
He and I had always fantasized about having a band of our own and tried to put that together many times with many different people, but it just never really connected. It never really worked out. It's very hard to find that magical team of guys. And so when we finally decided to take a break from trying to put bands together and I went off and started playing with, people like Alice Cooper, and he decided to put together a heavy metal band strictly just for the enjoyment of playing double bass,
Yeah, indeed.
And when he put the band together, it ended up being Five Finger Death Punch, and so I was really kind of, I was heartbroken that he had locked into something, and it wasn't with me. But he rescued me, and they made the switch, and I was fortunate enough to be invited into the core of the group as an equal guy, and so I'm pretty lucky.
Absolutely. And do you have any aspirations to go back at any point to piano, guitar, violin, and drums? Maybe incorporate all of that in together somehow?
Nope.
Oh, brilliant!
No, I was so just growing up, I was just so taken by music. It really had an effect on me, and I begged my parents for every instrument I could imagine, and I was fortunate that they, one by one, they brought home a bass guitar, and I had piano lessons, and I took violin lessons, and I had drum lessons, and I had a drum set, and I had guitars, and I was just like, I am going to be one of these things, God damn it. It killed me.
And thankfully you have. And look, of course, you mentioned your early success, but with with War Is the Answer debuting at number 7 on the Billboard 200, we subsequently followed up with American Capitalist at number 3. Wrong Side of Heaven, Righteous Side of Hell was number 2. Got Your Six has got to be number 1, surely.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. I don't want to jinx it. A lot of that has to do with who you're competing against on that day of release. We seem to always be coming out on the same day as some major pop heavyweight. The last 2 volumes, I think it was Adele on, and who's the guy? Who is the fucking guy that cheated on his wife?
It's Robin Thicke.
Robin Thicke, thank you.
Thank you.
What a thing to be known for. Yeah, so they got clobbered. So let's just hope that Eminem isn't preparing to release a record on September 4th or any of those other industry giants, because it's really hard to trump those guys,
Oh, look, but you are trumping them. There's no doubt. I know why you're so successful, because you are just so awesome in the extreme. But what do you put down the popularity to?
Well, thank you for the compliment. I don't know. I think our band is interesting on many different levels. Maybe more interesting than some of the bands that are having equal airplay or album sales. I think that as individuals, as a group of guys, I think that we're just compelling. I don't know. I just think it's about more than just the records or the music. I think it's just about the package, the branding, the artwork, the sentiment,
I think you're right, and I think the sentiment is huge.
Yeah, the sentiment is like it.
Well, we're talking about the success and popularity of Five Finger Death Punch, and really the sensation having such a big part to do with it, and as you say, the complete package.
Yeah. It's hard for me to sit here and talk highly of the group I'm in, but if I had to envision a band that would be the kind of band I'd want to be in, this would be it. I think that we look like a refined package, and it's just like, most importantly, we're making the kind of music that I think is exciting. And in this day and age, if you're not exciting, it's so easy to be looked over, you know?
Yeah, with so much out there, I completely understand. And look, your Soundwave performances in 2014 and performances around it in Australia were absolutely killer. Magnificent stuff. And of course, you're taking the album on the road and starting a huge tour next month, which really just happens to coincide at the end of January. Could that mean a Soundwave 2016 appearance, maybe?
Well, when does Soundwave start?
February.
January what? It starts in February. Oh, interesting.
Very.
Well, I honestly don't have any confirmation beyond Shiprocked for dates. That's all. The only thing I know of is that we're doing the boat again in January. So it's certainly possible. Certainly possible. Can't say for sure.
Of course. Yeah. Well, we can't wait to see you back here again, and I can stop flying out to Vegas to see you, at least for 1 year.
Well, we're here on the 19th at the Joint in Vegas, if you can get on a plane.
Look, I just missed you in 2014 in Vegas, but luckily got to interview Alice Cooper instead. But, not that that's a compromise, but an interesting coincidence.
Very nice. Yeah, no, Alice, I've seen Alice more this year than my mother, you know.
Wow.
So we were playing a bunch of festivals in Europe last month, and Alice Cooper was on 3 or 4 of the shows right after we played, or in some of the shows we were he was right before us. It was bizarre.
Goodness me, there we go. And you started personally playing music at the astonishing age of 6, and I realise you've touched on that, but was there a particular thing that you can put your finger on? I mean, our minds are so cluttered when we're 6, but was there anything you recall drawing you to music?
Yeah, and wow, you've really done your research. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
The first thing I remember was my next door neighbor came over one day and handed me 2 Kiss records and said, my mother told me I had to throw these away. I'm not allowed to keep these, so I'm going to give them to you, and you don't tell anyone I gave them to you, and that way I can come over and listen to these at your house where I won't get in trouble. And I was like, true story, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then he leaves, and I'm just sitting there staring at the time he gave me Rock and Roll Over and Destroyer, and I'm sitting there looking at these albums going, good God. You know, the only other album I had in my house was the Grease soundtrack and some Sean Cassidy record. So I am looking at Destroyer going, good Lord. And then, of course, you know, that's a great record to be introduced to Kiss with. And so, you know, I said, I don't know what this is, but I love it, and I've got to do this. This is amazing. And that's kind of where it started. And I was young, but I don't know. It's hard to remember back, like what I guess I was just hyper and spoiled. Maybe I was spoiled. Like, I want what I want, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. And it might be, you know, Cocoa Puffs at 11 at night. I'm still hell-bent on getting my freaking Cocoa Puffs, you know?
Oh, incredible. I have to ask you, if I may, quickly about your beautiful Gibson M4 Sherman. Is there special significance to the Sergeant First Class chevrons on the guitar, or was it just a design?
Well, I do have a great enthusiasm for military history, as you may or may not know.
I didn't know that, no.
So, yeah, I'm kind of a history junkie, specifically, you know, the great conflicts. And so it fits with me well because of that association, but also, it just fit well on the Explorer. I was looking for something bold and unique or certainly instantly recognizable as being my guitar, and it's hard to come up with something that hasn't been done already, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And so I was just playing around with things, and I always thought we had done a couple Death Punch graphic-y things in the beginning that had the chevrons. So just the fact that, it was kind of like 3 bars and they're, evenly spaced, and that in itself makes up a pretty cool striping scheme. But I thought I'll take it further and put the whole insignia on the guitar and see what that looks like, and it just worked well. So I think I scored with that. I mean, now it's an instantly recognizable design.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it is, as my guitar.
Yes, and to name it after an iconic American tank in the M4 Sherman. But what a great idea.
Well, it's a symbol of strength and power, and that's, certainly how I feel about the guitar, being that it's my signature guitar.
Indeed. Well, look, I could honestly speak with you literally for days, but I realise you have a schedule and press for time. Congratulations again on the magnificent Got Your Six. It's brilliant, brilliant work.
Thank you very much. Do a lot of interviews, and it's always a pleasure to speak to somebody that really does like the band. And so thank you very much for the support, and I'm glad you liked the record.
No, my absolute pleasure. And as I say, we've got people hammering down on Till to get a copy, so I know it's going to sell well here in Australia.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. And I would say that we have 2 years of touring in front of us, and I would guarantee that includes covering all the major cities in Australia.
Wonderful. I'll try and hit you up for a face-to-face if I can.
Yeah, my pleasure. Have a great Friday, and hopefully we'll cross paths in the future and we can do some more.
That sounds brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, Jason. Absolute thrill. Take care, my friend, and travel safe.
Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.